A very good afternoon to you all, or good morning, depending on where you might be joining us from today. Welcome to the April edition of Law Chat, which is brought to you in association with Moore Markhams, accountants and business advisors specialising in offering financial services to the legal profession. And it's my great pleasure today to welcome Stephen Brown, who is the director of Perth-based law firm Linen Brown, as my guest. Stephen qualified as a barrister and solicitor in Western Australia in 1997, and his firm is a quality assured practice and is distinctive in that it is one of the few firms in Australia to offer fixed pricing and a service guarantee. And today I want to talk to Stephen about his experiences in introducing new and distinctive pricing policies into his firm. Stephen, welcome and thank you for joining us on Law Chat.
Thanks very much, Simon. Really glad to be here.
It looks like a lovely day in WA.
Beautiful weather here in Perth today.
Always is, isn't it? Hey, so listen, tell us, we've got half an hour, and as I said to you before in the intro, time tends to fly on Law Chat, but I know this is a hot topic for a lot of people, and particularly those in private practices who traditionally have been billing by the hour because that's what they have become accustomed to, and they really have not ventured into alternative ways of pricing their services. So I'm interested to know a little bit about your background and the history behind how your firm came to the situation that it's in today, and being able to offer its clients or its customers a fixed price and service guarantee. So tell us a little bit about the history.
Yeah, sure. So I've been a lawyer for 26 years now and became a partner of the firm that I'm in now back in 2000. So 22 of those years I've been a partner of the firm. Probably about 8 years ago, I had some senior lawyer come and drop some articles on my desk and say, look, you should read about this. And I'd heard about value-based pricing, and I read a couple of these articles, and he was a bit more persistent, would drop a few more on there, and we'd have a few conversations, and I'd say, look, we were sort of doing it a bit in our estate planning side of the practice, and also a bit of our commercial contract drafting side of the practice. And we operate three areas. We have an estate planning and deceased estate side, commercial advisory and dispute, and a family law side to the practice. But I said to him, look, I just can't see how you could do this with complex matters or complex disputes. Too hard, too many variables. How do you put a fixed price on that? And we then started talking about a bit more. We'd been through a process with some advisors about where we were trying to work out what was Linen Brown's unique selling proposition. What was something unique we were taking to the market? And we ended that project with really no real answer, which we were really challenged, and we came up with things, and the guy said, yeah, well, there's probably 10 law firms that do that. There's probably 100 law firms that do that. And ended the project really with nothing out of it. And then we were talking about this a bit more, and I saw John Chisholm present at an ALPMA, Australian Legal Practice Management Association event, and we then got talking with John, and John sort of introduced us to some law firms over the east coast of Western Australia that were doing it, and we started to develop a belief, yeah, it is possible, we can do this. John gave me this great book, or introduced me to it, by Ron Baker, Implementing Value Pricing. And what we probably learnt, and then we engaged John Chisholm to help, I suppose, introduce and guide us into being, and give us really, more than anything, the courage, but also the fundamental basic knowledge of it, but not so much how to implement it. What we really found is each law firm will implement it in their own way. But we were given the courage by seeing that it had been done and that there was some guide of how to do it. But we then had to invent how Linen Brown were going to do value-based pricing, with some great shoulders to stand on by people that had done it. The great book by Ron Baker that gave us some guidance about how to go about it. And we for about 6 months, we were still pricing on time and were looking at and put a fixed price on it, what it would look like. We then, on the 1st of June 2017, pressed the button and said every new matter that comes through the door of Linen Brown is going to be value-based priced. We are no longer going to time bill anyone. We didn't have the courage at that time yet to drop timesheets. We still recorded time. And then my business partner is my sister, Jackie, and we run a firm. There's 26 people in the firm. We then went with John Chisholm to the United States to a Verisage conference in, I think it was November of 2017, so about 6 months in, and met Ron Baker in person, Ed Kless, Tim Williams, some really great people over there. So, you're in the right room when you're not anywhere near the smartest person in the room, and definitely had that feeling out of that conference, and came back from that conference with the confidence to go, we don't need to record time ever again. It's actually detrimental to what we're trying to achieve with value-based pricing by recording time. And so from, it must be about December 2017, we haven't recorded time at all at Linen Brown. We're still here. We're doing well. We actually love practicing this way. We have a great client base that also enjoys being priced in this way and not billed in retrospect. So our lawyers love working this way.
Did you have any skeptics that you had to win over as you were making this transition?
Oh, definitely. I remember someone that we used to recruit a lot of our lawyers rang us up and said, I need to meet with you. You guys, your firm's going to collapse. You'll lose everything. I need to sit down and talk you out of this. We've also had, many clients that come to us and say, how's that going to work? I'd prefer to be on time. And it's an education piece, really, that, clearly some people think that if you're putting a fixed price on it, you're looking at what you think would be a time recorded and you're going to add a bit onto that. But it's really a shared risk model. It's, and I'll very easily say that there certainly would have been files over the past 5.5 years that if we had have recorded on time, we might have earned more money. But I'll also say that there's definitely files where we've earned more money, but we've shared the risk with our clients. So under a time-based billing model, there's no risk at all to the law firm at all, because they, whether they're doing productive work or not, if they're recording that work, then they're going to get paid for it. Whereas with this model, we say to our clients, look, you've got transparency, so you know exactly what it's going to be. You budget around it, and either that works for you or it doesn't. So it's been really great for client selection for us. So people that were going to be difficult in paying, right up front decide, no, we're not the right law firm for them because the price doesn't work for them. It has been hugely beneficial for our cash flow because we have fixed payment milestones. Smaller projects are all paid up front into our trust account. Other ones have progress payments during the course of it, which are mapped out, really clear for the customer. So yes, and we still have people that new customers that come to us, Simon, that have seen time-based billing and might have not had a problem with it. But what I do tend to find is more the experienced consumer of legal product is more attracted to a value-based pricing fixed price than someone who is not that experienced with being billed on time. Because most people that have been billed on time have had a conversation with an accountant, a lawyer, an advisor that says this is the estimate of what it's going to cost you, and that estimate blows out 90% of the time. And I know, like, I did this for 22 years, billed on time, and that's what would happen. You give an estimate that you, in an ideal world, is what would work out, but often it's not an ideal world we live in.
So let me just be clear that there's not only do you offer fixed pricing on some of your services, but you also do value-based billing on some of your offerings as well.
So everything that we do is value-based pricing. So we have a scoping meeting with the customer, work out, and that scoping meeting is quite different to what used to be our initial consult. So initial consult used to be focused on, well, what are your legal issues and what's how can we work towards solving that issue that you might have, and it might be to limit a risk or it might be to solve a problem that's arisen. Whereas now our initial consults involve that, but they involve a lot more. So it's a lot more getting to know, well, what does the customer actually want out of this? How do they want the services delivered? Do they like email? Do they like phone? Do they like face-to-face meetings? Do they want a report every fortnight? Do they want to, how do they want the services delivered? And what outcome are they looking for? And I never used to ask a client, at the end of this, what is an ideal result for you? And that then educates us and allows us to educate them a bit too. If someone comes to me and they've got a debt for $100,000 owing to them under a contract, and they say, well, what I want whatever you're going to charge me plus the $100,000. It allows us to then have a conversation about how that's not going to happen and what we can achieve for them, and set the parameters of their expectations really clearly up front. And what it's forced us to do is be a lot more strategic in planning up front. One of the really difficulty things as a practitioner is we work a lot harder at the start of a matter to work out exactly what we're going to do with the matter and how the matter is likely to play out, because we've got to forecast that to create a scope of work that sets out some things outcomes we're going to try and achieve for the client. And we then give all of our customers 3 options. So all of those options will achieve an outcome, but it depends on, sometimes it might be what level of service delivery do they want? Do they want to have extra meetings about the matter? Sometimes we'll offer an option. If someone tells me this is urgent and I need it done by next Monday, we'll give them an option and a price on that delivers it by next Monday, but also we'll give them a price by doing it by next week, Friday, and see really how urgent it is. And so, in the past, from our point of view on that job, on the past, we would just charge it on time. And it wouldn't matter whether we were having to stay up to midnight a couple of nights to get the job done. It would just be however many hours it takes. Whereas now we say, all right, well, we're going to push a few projects aside. We're going to have to ring a few people and tell them maybe their job won't be done exactly when it is, or we're going to do a couple of late nighters or weekends. But if you want it, that's what the price is. And often, a customer says it's really urgent, but if it's going to cost them a couple more $1,000s to get it really urgently, they might have a conversation with the other side and push the project out a bit.
Sure. Tell me something. How do you establish a price? Do you have a pricing committee, or do you personally approve every proposal or quote that goes out?
Yeah. So we strongly believe in the fact that we shouldn't price our own work. So even myself as the director, a price for a job never goes out from me for work that I'm doing. So we've got some parameters. A job under $5,000, we only need one other lawyer in the practice to meet with us and confer and work a price out. But what we find is that, we undervalue what we do. I've done hundreds of shareholders agreements. I've dealt with thousands of commercial disputes over the 26 years. And so what I think is easy, and because I've done it a lot and I don't really value, someone else will put a different light on it and say, well, look, let's look at, well, what's at stake here for this customer? What's the value of the business we're dealing with? What's the value of the dispute? How much is it affecting their business? And so 3 times a week, we have what we call a value council meeting, where we have 4 people in the office, and some of those people aren't legally trained. So worked in law firms and understand what's going on, but we like having different points of view and people from different parts of the practice helping assist with the pricing of it, because it gives a different perspective, a lot closer to a customer's perspective of what the value is that we're going to create by this project. And the lead on it will present a series of answers and questions and facts about the matter with a proposal. And that value council will then adjust maybe the scope of work and adjust the pricing on it. And then we'll present that proposal with 3 different options to our customers.
Interesting. I know there are a few people tuning into this interview today, and just to say, those who are watching us live, if they do have any questions for Stephen, feel free to pop something into the chat box or Q&A, and we'll have a look at it. A question I wanted to ask as well, Steve, in terms of the overall benefits to the firm and to you personally, probably from a psychological point of view, how would you describe your working life now under this regime compared to what it used to be like when you were filling out timesheets?
Yeah, it's very freeing, Simon, to know that all I've got to try and do is achieve the outcome for the client. I don't have to worry about every time I pick up a phone recording what I did on that phone conversation, insofar as the time it took for that phone conversation. We'll still take file notes and that sort of thing, so we keep good records of what we're doing. But that, and also, the fact, especially when I was an employed solicitor and we had, or even between partners when we've got billing milestones that we require, not having that hanging over my head, that my objective each day is to try and complete some projects. So the things that we KPI and map now are things like how quickly we turn around a project, not how many hours it took to do it. So we're trying to create efficiencies in how we produce the work rather than trying to take mapping how long it takes us to do it. We're actually trying to do the job more efficiently, which works both for us as a firm, but also works really well for our customers because the job's getting done quicker. And we then also are wanting to specialise, and it has helped our firm become a lot more specialised, because we know that if we've done something 1,000 times, we can do it really well and create efficiencies in how we do it. But we're creating the same value for each customer that we do it for, so we don't have to downvalue the what we're charging for that service.
One of the comments that's just come in here is they admire your bravery in making such a massive change in the business, and well done on the follow through. The question is, did you have moments of doubt?
Yeah, I'm generally relatively confident, Simon, and I don't know if it's blind confidence or not, but I do remember one night sitting on my couch, I think a week before we pressed the button on it, and I was about to head off to bed, and I found myself short of breath, and I didn't really know what was going on, and I realised I was actually having a mild form of panic attack or something of that nature, because I was really stressed about, I was like, this business, it $250,000 a year to keep a month to keep running, and it could very quickly go wrong. If we get this wrong, very quickly we could go out the door backwards. And so I did have some moments, a moment there, and when we started, we were only presenting one proposal to our customers, and we weren't doing as well financially as we should because we were losing too much work. We aim to only win 75% of our proposals is our target, and we've pretty much tracked on that trajectory since Tim Williams came out and met with our team and talked to us about options. And as soon as we started presenting 3 different options, it became a question of yeses, not a yes or no question for our customers. And we started to win the work that we needed to win to hit the ratios we needed to be successful.
Yeah. So by the sounds of all of that, the firm's profitability and finances have improved as a result of this change.
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot more projects that we run a lot more profitably, both because we've created efficiencies in how we do it and we do the same thing well, but also just because we don't spend a lot of time in monitoring and tracking time anymore. law firms, so like ours and accounting firms, spend a lot of time tracking time, monitoring time, doing KPIs around time, analysing each of the producers of time. We've created all these efficiencies by no longer having to spend any time on doing any of that anymore. Yes, there are things that we do now that we didn't have to do by creating scopes of work. But what we're doing in that regard have helped us to, I believe, be more productive on the job and more effective with how we're producing the work, because we've created a good strategy and scope around what we're going to do, which is great for the customer as well, because it creates a real transparency. They can see. One of the things that really motivated me to do this was what we sat back and we'd done some work with customer experience and with what is the thing that a customer hates most about a law firm, and it was the billing. I had for 20 years had customers who were really happy with the job and got a bill at the end and would then complain, and it left with a sour taste in their mouth. Whereas now, it's priced up front. They either like the price or they don't like the price. If they engage with us, they've made that decision really early on the piece about the price. And if we produce great work, they end really happy. And so that is really comforting as an advisor for someone. And it really helps then with, future winning work from that customer, but also all the people that they know and talk about their experience with us about is a positive experience.
Tell me, what's been the reaction from your fellow practitioners? I don't mean within your firm, but within your community in Perth and the environs, because presumably what you have done has attracted a degree of media interest, at least in legal professional circles. Do you find that you get inquisitive responses from other lawyers, or are some slightly dismissive, or what's the reaction?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of both there, Simon. Some people are really interested to understand it and to understand how we do it. There are a lot of other people that just think, you can't do that. Probably, as I believed 6-7 years ago, that's you don't practice law that way. It's not the way it's done. It's too difficult to do it effectively. So I think there is definitely a bit of both. I mean, you look at that diffusion of innovation curve. That the first 2.5% are innovators, and then you've got the 13.5% that are early adopters. I think we've fallen into those early adopters, but I don't think we've moved to the next one of the early majority to get to that the 50%. We're still from. And that's great for us in a way, because it means we've got a unique selling proposition to the marketplace that our competitors don't have. But also, I would love to see more law firms doing it, because I think it's better for them. And I think it's better for our profession, because I think as a profession, we are turning off a lot of customers because of the way in which of what time-based billing does and the way in which we bill. And if we had more of the profession move to a different pricing system, I think that the public at large would have a better belief and feeling about the legal profession.
One of the things that I really liked on your website was how transparent you were about pricing. In fact, you have a specific button on your website in which you specify what the value proposition is, as well as a nice little, just a minute and 18-second video of you talking about the firm and how you came around to doing this transition. And there aren't many firms out there that actually have a button there devoted to pricing. Often the vernacular is costing or billing. And as John Chisholm would say, the difference between billing and pricing is that pricing happens before the event. Billing in most firms takes place 30 days afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And you probably note on that page, we've got some guarantees on there as well. So we've got the pricing guarantee that basically says that we will not charge anything that we haven't had a client agree to in advance. So as little as if we do an ASIC search for $20 if we didn't price in that we were going to do that search, we just wear the cost of doing that. If we didn't price a filing fee for a document at court, then we absorb that. So it is completely fixed. The other guarantee that we then felt that we had to put there with it, because we thought, some people might say you'll cut if you've got a fixed price and the project's becoming more difficult, you're going to cut some corners on that project. And we'd never do that, because our customers are really important to us, and the ability to do future work for them or their contacts are really important. So we want to produce great quality work. But B, we then went and said, okay, we'll give you a service guarantee that says if you're not happy with the service that we've provided, then come and sit down with us and talk to us about what you'll actually pay for it. And we started doing that about 4.5 years ago, so about 6 months after we'd started doing value-based pricing. And we've had the service guarantee called on, I think, 2 or 3 occasions. We give a timeline around our delivery of service, and these were fairly some astute customers that waited for us to complete the project and then said, you said you'd do the project within 21 days and it took you 35 days to do the project. I don't think I should therefore be paying the full fee. And that's happened on a few, which is good. If you do a bit of reading into guarantees, if your guarantee's never called on, they say it's not worth anything. So if you're providing a service or a pricing guarantee, it should on occasion actually be called on by your customers if it's of any value.
Absolutely. Great questions come in to ask, if you went back to the start of this process, what would you have done differently, or what would you do differently?
Yeah, good question. We would have stopped time recording from the very start. We wouldn't have needed that crutch to be worried about what it might do, and had that self-belief. We would have been giving options from the start. We would have changed the software that we're using from the start. We've changed software only last year.
Is this your practice management system?
Yeah. So very difficult to find good practice management systems that for law firms that are not time-based. But we've done some work with a great firm, Velata in Queensland, that has helped customise some software. It's off-the-shelf software, but we've had them customise it to assist us with our workflow, and be based on the outcomes and how we can automate some billings and tasks that flow through for those outcomes. If we had have done that earlier, I think we would have had some more efficiencies earlier.
Very good. Quick question. Did all of this impact on the team very much? Because presumably it must have been a big cultural shift for them as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the way in which we manage is very much to bring the team along on the journey. So, we very much have a belief that we don't know everything and that we want to hear from our team before we make any big decisions in the practice. So we really brought the team on the journey, and I think that is really important that they're involved with the education process. So, the sessions we did with John Chisholm were team sessions, that they're brought involved with all the different decisions that we make. When we change the way in which we create a form that tracks the value that we're giving, we get input from the team as a whole. So and we never used to have team meetings. Once a week, each of the 3 teams meet and talk about what work we've got on that week, who's going to do what are the different levels of busyness, how we can share. So we don't silo files like we used to do. There's a lot more team interaction and delivery. Our support staff, so we've got some brilliant legal secretaries that have been in the game for 20 years or around that vicinity, and they now have a lot more responsibility, and we leverage their skills and experience a lot better than we ever did as well. So that's helped, I think, particularly for them to feel more involved with the matters, and they get into an understanding of the customer issues as well.
It's a great story and a very uplifting and I think motivating one for many watching today. So, quick 30-second question, or quick question for a 30-second answer, maybe. For those who are listening to what you're saying and learning from your experiences, what advice would you give them if they're thinking of more than dipping their toe in the water, but actually jumping in and saying, let's give this a go, like Stephen has done?
What was really important for us at the start was to read a lot about it and to watch things like your podcast, to listen to some people like Ron Baker, Ed Kless, John Chisholm, David Wells from Moores was great for us, Matthew Burgess from View Legal as well. Some really, and they were the innovators. They were the people that started this journey. So reading all of that, and getting some comfort around the knowledge was really important to us. And then you're never going to feel comfortable with it. You just have to do it. Yeah. And lawyers, we're trained to be risk adverse, unfortunately. So it doesn't come naturally to us. And, we work with our clients to avoid risk for them. So it doesn't come naturally, but so valuable and so worthwhile for us. I'm, so glad that we did it.
That's terrific. Well, look, thanks so much for joining us on Law Chat today. Really enjoyed hearing your story, and very positive story it is as well. So on behalf of all the listeners, Stephen, thanks very much for joining us, and I hope to catch up again soon. But that's it, folks, for this month. We'll be back with Law Chat again next month. So, Stephen, all the best.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Take care. Bye-bye.